I really need to get something off my chest. It's an Ansary podcast for February 7th, 2015. A couple of weeks ago, a woman by the name of Rebecca posted some comments on one of my videos. They were complimentary, and I thought that was great to see someone in the local level. Anytime it's male or female, if they're in Portland, I think that's awesome, if they're somewhat tapped into reality. And so this person also added me on Facebook. Now, she asked me out for coffee, and that's also flattering. I'm not often asked out for coffee through a YouTube comment, and most of the women that watch my YouTube channel aren't even in the Portland area, and most all that are married, which is a very interesting. I've talked about this before, how single women seem to not really be with it at all, or even open to, certain ideas. But it's like when women are married, their whole psychology changes. But without getting into that, I was more than willing to meet this woman for coffee, but I was a little thrown off when she rescheduled at the last second and said, "Oh, I got to go to an appointment," along with volunteering information that she's a sex worker, that she's a prostitute, that she's, as she puts it, in the adult entertainment industry. So automatically in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm poor Alex. I don't have any money. Oh, there's a sex worker out there that appreciates some of my content, and she may be a little flirtatious. Hey, we should team up and change the world, and using that type of language that she knows that a guy like me likes. Having watched videos of mine, it's not difficult to come up with the psychological profile of Alex Ansary to a certain degree, and to see some of my weaknesses as well as my strengths. But those emotional weaknesses, those parts where I'm vulnerable, I don't like it when people push those buttons. And what I'm going to say here, I'm just going to go over the basic facts of the whole situation, why I blocked this lady, and why I find her recent comments, man-hating comments on my Facebook page, to be quite appropriate for this conversation that we're having. So I put up the last video, which some of you may have seen, why I don't chase women in today's society, and I actually wondered how she would respond to that video. Because after she volunteered A, information about being a sex worker, after she B, stood me up and didn't even meet up for coffee, and she had to go do something else, and she never followed up the next day after that to, come up with a different place to meet, it was clear then that she wanted me to pursue her. In addition, she volunteered some information that she was out of money and needed quite a bit of money for her monthly expenses, and she had a whole chart done. And then she emailed me and said, "Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to send that to you." It just goes to show, how much we're enslaved to money. I made that comment. I said, it's okay. It just shows how much we're enslaved to money. And I mean that in a general sense, men and women. But I would say especially women that believe that they're stuck in the sex industry. Stuck in a world where they fuck for money. And what hurts me is to be contacted by a woman like this who's in an industry where men are used for their money. And a lot of them have drug, and I did not a background check, but I typed in her name, so there's a lot of arrests for heroin possession, meth possession, prostitution, and other charges. And there's at least 3 mugshots that I found. And by the way, if someone does have a little bit of money, they can get their face taken off of PDX mugshots. And I don't think that it's very nice what they do, how they put people's face out there. But it also helps some of us stay away from certain people that have a criminal history. And I will say this woman was very attractive. I consider her to be a 9 or a 10, and I don't really do ratings. And let me just say that I think it's amazingly beautiful when you have someone that's politically awake, spiritually awake, and physically attractive. Those combination of factors together. But I don't believe that this woman is spiritually awake at all. I believe that she is trying to find her way, and maybe there's something that she saw in my message, but I will not tolerate people posting on my page how they hate all men and how they see all men in this, especially when they're posting that in response to a video where I'm sharing from the heart. It's one thing if they're sharing that on their own. It's when they feel the need to do that in response to my video. That's telling me that they want to hurt me emotionally. And then when she starts talking about the Middle East and how men oppress women, and and things of that nature. What does this have to do with the content of my video? Being that I'm half Afghani, half white, is she somehow trying to affect me emotionally, knowing that I've struggled my entire life with racism, living within this culture, and how I'm also critical of all this anti-Muslim propaganda that is grossly exaggerated. It's so insane, it's infected Infowars.com. It's infected much of the alternative media and the conspiracy research community. There is this psychosis that ISIS is invading the U.S., even though out of the other side of their mouth they're talking about it being part of Western intelligence. What this woman doesn't understand, obviously, is how Western intelligence has funded so much of radical Islam, and there are many Muslims throughout the world that do not wear a burqa or a veil. But in America, people are given a certain view of men around the world, especially darker-skinned men or non-white men. And it hurts to see people judge men like that, because you know what it does? All that is just more justification to drop more bombs on them when men are judged from other countries. And so, of course, I'm not going to allow that in my field. And there's a little pain there, because there's not a whole lot of women in Portland that even contact me. But most of the women that have contacted me in my life have been fairly mentally ill, where have hurt me emotionally, where I've gone off on the handle, or I've had explosive temper problems. Well, there's been other drug issues, but whether those issues with drugs be legal or illegal, but drugs in general, including pharmaceutical, in multiple times, and seeing how that has played a part in the breakdown in the friendship, the lack of impulse control, the anger, the fury. And the situation that I was in Colorado briefly for a few months was terrifying. And there were pharmaceuticals involved in that situation. And that really opened my eyes to the dangers of what these things can do to some women's mental capacity, especially when you become the enemy. And I do believe that evil spirits through these drugs can make men the enemy. And to men, they can make women the enemy. They're working on us both. The dark side is beyond male and female. And now I'm feeling like I'm moving more into my element in this lifetime more than ever. The fact that I'm addressing this, and I have concern and compassion and care for both men and women. I think more about the lives that women are going to be living in the future more than women. I know this is true. And yet, no matter what good work I do, I still stand alone regardless. And when I put out information that hits a button, people revert back like a monkey to the anti-man, anti-male rhetoric because of the experiences that they have had themselves. And despite the fact that I'm trying to do something positive, I still seem to be lumped into that category. And people still want to be in this gangbanger mentality of man versus woman, woman versus man. Perhaps I'm going to make this video and someone's going to comment how much they hate men in response to this. Just to toy with my emotions. And whether or not they know they're toying with my emotions, that's the fact of the matter is they are, whether or not they know it. And they should know better. And I would like to be treated with a little bit of respect by today's women. I want to be seen for the good person that I am, not lumped in with all these rapists and murderers. I want to stand against that system. And I see that something bad is coming to America that is beyond what a lot of people are looking at today. And I can feel it creeping in like a creep. I can feel it. I feel like I have that ability to sense that danger. And I want to warn this nation's men and women that the direction our country is going in is so self-destructive by design, to open the way, to open the door for a great evil to come through. And those great evils come through in many ways. In another video, I'm going to talk about psychic protection. And one of the ways that we can protect ourselves psychically is to not engage in anger and resentment that is just misdirected. And I understand that I sound emotional in some of these videos. I'm trying to articulate thoughts that I have had for years that I have never yet put out there. And this winter, living home free in a trailer with no one and nothing, I'm taking the time to share what's in my soul, to share that knowledge. I'm living each day as if it was my last at this point. Not that I expect that my last days are coming, but I'm not going to put it past the universe at this point. If I can be left for dead, and if I can be treated the way that I've been treated, then anything is possible. And I'm not going to be angry with God or the universe with how things work out, because I know that the world is bigger than this world. The universe is larger than the microscopic reality that I'm experiencing now. And every breath comes and goes, in, out, in, out, in and out. The oscillating cycle continues, as do our lifetimes. We are more than men. We are more than women. There is something else to us, and we've forgotten that. And the great evil upon the world is seeking to make us a great evil like it, to strip us of our loving masculine and feminine energies. These are painful times to be alive. For a lot of people, this is only about the government and central control. But the truth is that it's not. The greatest pain that some of us are suffering right now is coming from the opposite sex. If you're a woman, it's coming from the men in your eyes, in your world. And for us men, it's coming from the women. It is a greater pain than the pain of global government, police brutality, and the Big Brother surveillance society, and even poverty. To be alone, to be disconnected from the opposite sex, to feel hated by the opposite sex, even if you're a good person, that is much more painful than the homeless experience. There are homeless out there that have found them. In some cases, there are men and women that have found each other that are homeless. Now, it's true that there's a lot of heroin and meth addiction, and sometimes drugs brings people together just like a good meal. But it's a beautiful thing when people without money are able to come together and find a way to turn their love into something that is powerful, that is more valuable than anything monetarily. So let's bring it back to the story. Women like that are trouble, that sell their body for sex, for money, that sell their sex for money. And then when I put a video out there saying this is why I stay away from most of today's women, they go on a barrage as to why they hate men. And I was just saying in that video that some women resent men, or especially me, when I'm not flirting with them. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Men are considered guilty all the way around just for being men. And I believe that this is an Archon hijack of human consciousness, because women do need some men to protect them from some of the bullshit out there in this world. And if they don't believe so, then next time they're under attack, they can defend themselves instead of calling 911, because likely someone in uniform, an agent of the government, is going to come play daddy, come play protector, and help them out with physical force. So the world does need good people out there. And it seems like there's an evil within consciousness that wants to squash our evil and tell us that we're evil for being men. And the end game, the end goal is to get us to kill ourselves and keep the women on drugs and keep the women in the prostitution industry. This woman says that she wants out of it. Doesn't that require some steps? And how does someone just continue to sell themselves, especially in a world where they have children, doing things like heroin and meth, ending up in mugshot magazines and websites, and then starting arguments with men, good men that are actually trying to change things in a more positive direction? I'm not a perfect person, but at least I've dedicated my life to this. What would a woman have to gain from hurting someone like me? Nothing. But are women in today's society sometimes compelled to be hurtful for reasons that they don't understand when they're playing host to something far darker because of the drugs they're taking, because of the multiple sex partners that they have in their life? Those sex demons affecting their chakra systems, affecting their energy body? Absolutely. When women have that degree of evil around them, and if they're calling all these men evil, And they've participated in threesomes and tag teams. Well, yeah, they're going to be around a certain energy, and maybe they're describing what's around them and what they've seen. But one thing that women are good at, a lot of them in today's society, is destroying their own positive friendships with men that would treat them with respect by throwing their hatred of men in the direction of men that would not treat them wrong. They destroy a good friendship. Women need to stop treating men like dollar signs. The one reason this woman never met me for coffee is because I don't have any money, and I'm not a John, and I never responded to her advances or her email in the way that she wanted, which she told me how much money she needed. $2,000 and $2,400 a month. Completely volunteering information to me in an email as to how much money she needed, just like that. This is the only woman in a long time that's even contacted me in the Portland area. This is what's in, this is the culture. This is society today. These are women today. These are women today. The only other women that ever talk to me are married women or other women that have other psychological issues that they want me to help them with. As I said in the last video, we have to be very careful as men what women we allow to get near us, especially when we're on a mission. Because when we're lonely and vulnerable, and when we want to be loved, we're easy to attack. Our vulnerabilities can't be seen. And again, often at times women will do things, hurtful things to good men without realizing why they're doing it. Because in reality, they're playing host to something whose intentions it is to keep us weak, on the run, and just a few steps away from suicide. And for me in my life, I can't let that happen. Thanks for listening.